What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over an interesting article from a game industry analyst, and his name is Matt Piscatella, and I hope I'm saying that right. I actually recently, I believe, started following this guy on Twitter, and he seems to know his stuff. I mean, an analyst, he tracks a lot of stuff. I think he does a very good job at his actual job, but I tend to trust the guy. Now, what he's actually talking about, to be honest with you, is not crazy, specifically the Xbox part of it, right? It's something that I think if you just kind of are not even plugged in, like you're like an insider in any way, just that you kind of watch what's going on, I think you would come to the same conclusions he did about Xbox. But we're here to talk about physical media. I mean, game preservation is definitely a part of it, but this is a prediction of his, a forecast, if you will, where he's going over basically how many generations these companies have left, where they're going to be supporting, physical versus going digital. And so to break it, it's pretty darn simple actually to go through it. So let's go through it really fast and we'll break it down. He basically says Xbox's time is right now. It sounds like they're not even waiting. And again, you can just see it from the data or, what we've already seen Xbox doing. Xbox isn't even making it until the end of this generation. They're kind of doing it right now. He says PlayStation has one more generation left, so the PS6 would be the last one with any kind of real support for physical, and that the Nintendo consoles, Switch 2 and then Switch 3 or whatever they are, have two gens. So a domino, right? Nintendo has two, PlayStation has one, Xbox is running on borrowed time. Okay, now let's break it down a little bit. We can start with Xbox. They're the biggest culprit of them all and then move forward. Well, look, I said this on Podcast Now Plus yesterday when we talked about Forza Horizon 4 and Sarah Bond and all that stuff. I don't think Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer, I don't think they're the devil or anything, okay? I just want to throw it out there. But it is a bad look when you talk about game preservation 2 weeks ago at the Xbox Showcase, and then 2 weeks later you announced that not a flagship, it's not even the newest Forza game, but a game that came out in 2018 is being delisted, right? So not a good look. But also, and I will say, and I've said this before quite honestly, Xbox has done the best job of the three at game preservation. And what they've done so well is actually only through digital. Now, you can say who has control over the physical, can they even get so involved as I would maybe want them to? But Xbox has done the best job of the three of them, Sony, Xbox and Nintendo, at preserving games through backwards compatibility, through Game Pass, through, all that stuff. So they've done a good enough job, through that, but then they do things like this. And then with the physical stuff, whether it's out of their hands or out of their grasp, is it because they don't sell as well? You look at games that come out on both and they tend to sell better on PlayStation versus Xbox. I can get it to a degree. If a game sells 50,000 on Xbox and 150,000 on PlayStation physically, then, you look at it and you say, well, we need to clear store space. We need to not have these boxes anymore. We're going to eliminate Xbox, right? But the thing is, and what I was saying earlier, you could see this is the one. I don't think it takes any prediction. I don't think it takes any analysis. I don't think you have to be plugged in. I think you can see from everything that's happened with Xbox recently, from the leak of their next console, which is digital only, from the Series X that's getting a digital only Series X just now. At the same time, you're talking about game preservation. You see the stories of the Best Buys and the Walmarts. Now, they're taking out all the games generally, right? Or at least all movies, and then they move to all the games. But, they tend to go after Xbox first. Xbox games tend to get slashed physically faster or first just in general, right? So I don't think you need a bachelor's degree in anything to kind of predict that one. But it's sad. I mean, that one is because none of this stuff is great news. Now, I mean, look, you're looking at 10, 15 years, maybe around 10 for PlayStation to bow out, right? Say that's when the PS7 comes out and they're done. And then Nintendo, maybe you're looking at more again, closer, maybe 15 years, 15, 16 years. Now, I'll be in a different point in my life. A lot of us will be in different points of our lives, but the physical media, I think, is still going to be pretty important. I talk about it all the time with games half being on a disc or games not being on discs at all, right, being digital only. And while nowadays, you search for those PS2, PS3, Xbox 360, that era, and you can go further back, right? You absolutely can. But I do that. I go off of those games. In 10 years, in 8 years, in 5 years, the PS4 and the Xbox One, that's going to be the era where it's like, oh my God, all of a sudden, these discs are hard to come by. When that's not even all that old, maybe at least to somebody like me, right? So you project out, you say in 10, 15 years, we'll be in a different spot. It's hard to imagine games coming out on discs in 10 to 15 years. It is. It's hard to imagine it in 2 or 3 years, let alone a decade plus, right? So, like, I get it to a degree, but at the same time, it doesn't eliminate how important it is to have it. You're still going to need to have it. PS5 games, Series S and X games, they're going to need to be protected from time. PS6 games and the next Xbox, they're going to need to be protected, and we're very close. Like, the thing is, so that's a little bit of optimism that, like, okay, you still got a little bit of time, but the negative there is you're almost out of time for the idea of actually preserving these things, because from this point forward, it might be extremely difficult to preserve Xbox. Now, they'll do their own. Now, here's the thing. Like I just said, they're good at it, but they're only good at it digitally. So they might keep things around. 10 to 15 years, you might say, well, Alex, they're doing an okay enough job keeping games preserved. They're all in the Xbox store through Game Pass, all that jazz. But but that store goes offline and everything's connected, or you get hacked, or whatever the situation might be. They just pull the game because of licenses, as we saw Forza do, right? That can happen at any given moment, and there's no plan B. There's no backup plan, which would be physical, right? You're already seeing that, and it's only going to get worse when you don't have plan B. And then, like I said, project out 7, 8, 9 years, PS6 going into PS7. Well, now they're done. Now there's going to be no way of preserving PS7 games on. And you could say, well, again, like, it's too hard to forecast that stuff, or like, who cares, at that point? Well, I think we will. I think it's the same thing I always say for a game like Redfall. For as bad as it is, Suicide Squad, for as bad as it is, they still deserve to be around. I don't understand any argument otherwise. They're bad games, but they deserve to still stick around. 1,000%, there's no arguing that, and that's why I petitioned for Redfall to release that update, that they did, and they have the offline mode. Suicide Squad said they're going to. They haven't yet. That's a big deal to me, because these games need to stick around, because you look 10 to 15 years from now, some of these games will literally disappear. Alan Wake, etc. So that kind of, for Xbox, it kind of puts into focus like it's right away. PlayStation, like I said, you probably got around, 7 to 10 years before you get to the PS7. Not ideal. And then Nintendo, obviously holding down the fort, being the longest ones. It's just so important. I mean, I'll continue to say it. I don't think it's gotten old to people, on the channel yet. Hopefully it never does. And you'll see. I really believe, like, people like me that whine about this stuff, well, number one, we whine. We also put our money where our mouth is. I have about 300 physical games over to my left, okay, spanning all these and I'm going to continue to buy hundreds more over the next several years. I'm a man of principle. I'm a man of moral. No, if I'm saying something to you, I'm going to back it up. I'm not here to lie or mislead or anything like that with you. That's not me, and it's not going to be me. I've shown enough proof that I kind of back it up. You'll see. It's going to be important when games continue to get eliminated, and this kind of stuff. It's a forecast. Xbox is like, well, it's right in front of your face, so it's like, it's not even really a forecast. There might be some evidence to suggest why PlayStation, Nintendo would stay in it a little bit longer, but it's going to be a real issue. Like, it kind of just puts things into focus or into frame that if you think it's hard now, and if you think things are kind of falling apart, wait until they're literally just gone. They will literally just be gone, and it's not... 10 years is a long time, but like, it is somewhat right around the corner. Xbox is literally like tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally happening. PlayStation sounds far away, but eventually these consoles with games are not going to be protected. Nintendo, same thing. And that's not going to be a better place. I'm telling you now, I might have to wait till I'm 50, to fully be able to take credit. But along with thousands of other people, by the way, that petition for this stuff, maybe we won't be able to petition until we're dead or getting very old, but you'll see that it's very important. So let me know, as always, what your thoughts are in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.